Welcome to Consumer Connection, a podcast brought to you by the Montgomery County Office of Consumer Protection. I'm your host, Michelle Escobar. Before we dive in today, I want to share a message from a consumer who worked with one of our investigators, Joy Matthews. Ms. Matthews is exceptional. We are so lucky to have her representation as a consumer advocate in Montgomery County. In addition to her expertise, she cares deeply about the customers she serves and tenaciously advocates for them. At OCP, we know that awareness and early support make all the difference. That's why the conversation that we're having today matters. Online romance and dating can open doors to wonderful connections, but they can also present challenges that test trust and safety. This isn't about fear. It's about awareness and practical ways to stay safe without losing trust. To guide us through this, I'm joined by Karen Morgan from AARP. Karen is a leading advocate for fraud prevention and consumer protection. She'll share insights, real stories, and practical tips to help you and your loved ones stay safe, protect your heart and finances, without giving up on those connections.
Okay.
All right. So Karen, welcome. And please tell us what you do at AARP and tell us about AARP as well.
Okay. And I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for asking me to be here, Michelle. I'm on the Executive Council of AARP Maryland. I've been on the Executive Council. This is my third year, I believe, coming up. And AARP Maryland is one of the state offices that are part of the AARP organization, national organization. And AARP exists to help people stay secure with their finances and also stay secure as they age, because our founder never believed that people should decline as they get older, especially after a lifetime of work. So our founder was Ethel Percy Andrus, and the story that people like to tell is that she found one of her teacher colleagues, she was a teacher, she found one of her colleagues literally living in a chicken coop because she couldn't afford to live in a house. That was after a lifetime of work. She couldn't afford that. And that's when Ethel Percy Andrus said, this is unacceptable, and I'm going to start AARP. It wasn't AARP back in those days, but that's what it became. And one thing that AARP focuses on is financial security, and that means scam and fraud protection and prevention. That is like part of our core DNA. I was asked to be a volunteer with AARP Maryland 5 years ago after I retired from the state of Maryland. I was an attorney for the legislature for 36 years, and after I retired, the executive director asked if I'd be interested in working on fraud issues. While I was with the state of Maryland, I worked on economic crimes, I worked on identity theft, I wrote reports on identity theft, and drafted legislation in that area. So I was really happy to be able to volunteer to do that. So, and I've been doing that for 5 years, and I'm one of the lead volunteers for fraud prevention with AARP Maryland.
And you know what's so important about that is that everyone can benefit from the information that you share, that AARP shares.
Yes.
It's for everyone, because everyone can benefit from it. Because today we're talking about romance scams and the way people connect, and how we have to use caution, how we're connecting. I know everyone is online, almost everyone is online. And that is a huge way, for example, how I connect with my family. I have family that are in Costa Rica. I have family that are out of state. And we love, and vice versa, we love to share, see updates on families, see how cousins are growing, how family is growing, what their updates. And it's difficult today now with that, because we are evolving things are changing. So how do we keep up with these, with this evolving change of how we're connecting, how people are connecting today?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Michelle, because I think the game changer for us in the 21st century is the speed with which things happen. It's not that people weren't doing romance scams in the 1800s or the 1700s, they were. But it took a lot longer for the criminal to set that up. Now, with the press of a button, and you don't even need to be in the same area, with the press of a button, you can capture all hundreds, thousands, even millions of people and ensnare them in some kind of scam. And if only 1% say yes, you could make $100,000. You could make several $100,000. So that's the difference. But at AARP, we firmly believe in the power. We have power, And I think one of the issues with the ways in which fraud is discussed is the notion that we're powerless to do anything about this, and you kind of just have to sit there and hope it doesn't happen to you. Yeah. There are things that you can do, because no matter how fast the scam happens, in a lot of ways they happen using the same methods. There's a contact from out of the blue. Mm-hmm. And with many romance scams, that's how it starts. It could start with something as simple as hi, like a text that says, hi, I've gotten that text.
Mm-hmm, me
hello.
Too.
And I'm like, okay, no hello, goodbye.
Right.
How about goodbye?
Yes.
Let's try that one. So, it could be, or gee, I was trying to reach my sister because my husband's sick, but did I get the right person? And you're like, oh no, I want to let you know that this is an emergency. And the person's like, oh, well, darn, I feel so sad. I don't know what to do. And, I lost my husband too about, just 5 minutes ago when I made this up. So, maybe I can help you with financial security by investing in cryptocurrency, because that's what my husband turned me on to. That's really?
Yeah, and that's what I'm was going to ask. After you take us through what happens when you respond to that text, when it's a hello, and you're like, and you respond back, I'm sorry, I think you have the wrong number. What happens?
Well, the first thing that happens is that when you respond, and you should never respond, but if you respond, the criminal now knows that he has a real person on the line, because these criminals use software. They buy software as a service on the dark web. And this software will robocall millions of numbers in the space of 5 minutes or something like that. And and they don't know whether there's a real person or whether it's a real phone number or not. They don't care. They're just looking for somebody to say yes, or to say, well, what did you say? Or you have the wrong, even if you say you have the wrong number, you don't want to say anything. Yeah. You don't even want to admit that you have a name. I don't know what my name is today. I knew it yesterday, but not today. Try that, and just really annoy the criminal if you are responding. But so when you do that, that's what happens. And then the criminal, and these, let's not get it twisted, these are criminals. Mm-hmm. They are human roaches. That's what, when I'm in a good mood, that's what I call them. Let's not talk about what I call them when I'm in a bad mood. But these human roaches, and who are criminals, like the worst kind, cowardly kinds of criminals, will then try to engage you. And how do they do that? They do that with emotional weaponization. That's why I remember on one of your earlier podcasts, you kept emphasizing that everybody can be subject to a scam. And I was listening going, hallelujah, we need to get that message out. It was never about how smart you are. It's about how emotional you are in that given moment. If you're distracted, if you're distressed, if you're thrilled because you just won the Mexican lottery, even though you didn't enter, or you just, or you got the love of your life who just thinks you're the bee's knees, that heightened emotion can make you subject to a scam.
That's right.
And so the criminal will try to engage you, and the criminal, they have playbooks, they have scripts, they work on this a lot, and they will say things to just entice you, to bring you in, to establish trust, because that's job one.
Yes.
We need to establish trust. We need to establish a common bond. You have a child who's misbehaving. I do too. You lost your spouse. I lost my spouse too. I feel so sad. You've been struggling with your finances. Well, I was too until I invested in cryptocurrency, and now I'm financially secure.
Yeah.
None of that needs to be true, and they don't care if it's true. They don't care about lying.
And I think that that's key, the establishing the trust.
Mm-hmm.
They're very patient. Whoever's on that other line, if the more you give them, the more they take, and then they give a little back, and then they take more, and then they're establishing that trust.
Yep.
And that's where people, I think, get caught up, because whether it's an online relationship or in person, you still have to establish that trust, and they know exactly how to do that.
Right. When we went through COVID, everybody had to be online. Meeting in person without a mask or whatever just became anathema. It just became a risky proposition. And now we're back to being in social situations. But I think what COVID taught us, if nothing else, is how deeply we crave personal connection. We crave hearing the human voice. We crave the eye contact and the hug and just hanging out. That's what makes us human. Otherwise, we'd all be robots, right? And the criminals know this. So that's why their job is to establish trust, because they know that once you trust, you then become vulnerable. You will then believe what you're being told, or you will at least entertain or consider the notion. Even if you end up saying no, they know that they can come back and ask again and again. That's what they do.
And so the common tactics that they use, I've heard of the love bombing, where they're
God.
just, yes, right? And
Yes.
the urgency, creating the urgency. And another thing I think is the isolation. So they take all these things, and it's just a perfect storm for them. It's a perfect way to just talk to me about these common tactics that they use.
Well, yeah. With friendship and romance scams, these criminals engage in what I call the long con, and that's an old term, but it's the long con.
Yeah.
Because it differs from like the financial scam where you get the message saying, "Oh, your account's been compromised. You need to do something immediately." These people are willing to engage, entice, discuss for days, weeks, months, even years.
Yeah.
But all scams operate in the same way. At some point, there will be a demand for money. And I call it a demand because it's not a request. It's a demand.
Yeah.
Because they will be very specific about what it is you need to do to get this money to them. You need to stay on the phone with me. If you loved me, you would give me this money. You said you loved me, but now you're saying no. And then we might as well just break up right now. Oh, no, that's no, it's just that I don't have the money. Well, if it was me, I would just get the money. I would sell something. I would borrow from my friends. I would borrow from my family. Why can't you do that for me? It can get really mean like that immediately. And the other thing that's in these playbooks is this sort of map of how to start casually with like a casual conversation, and then just gradually shift into more intimate discussions, intimate, sort of like allusions or just even sexual things that people will say, and you mentioned love bombing, and love bombing is definitely a tactic. We say this at AARP, and I know you say too, if somebody starts telling you within 5 minutes of meeting you that you're the most fabulous person on earth, that's a red flag.
Yes.
Even though you might be the most fabulous person on earth, don't believe that person when they say they don't know you.
Right.
How do they know you're amazing?
Exactly. Exactly. And sometimes we'll say, okay, this is common sense, but what happens to the person? What what is that person going through that maybe a family member can look can will they are they able to talk to family? What can we say to them to as a family member if we're noticing that they're being secretive, if they're isolating a little bit? What can we do? Even a friend, even if it's just our friend, it's not family, but our loved ones, we love them, and we see them, something's going on. What do we do?
That is the hardest thing to address, I think. That's the hardest thing because what happens in this psychologically is that when the criminal establishes this trust, it's a really incredibly strong bond, especially if the so-called love is involved. And so now this person in the hierarchy is at the top, and family members who are just haters, or family members who are just jealous, or friends who just, they just don't know and they're judgy. That's the stuff that happens. And when the victim is talking to the criminal might reinforce those things. Yeah, I bet your family's kind of judgy. I bet your family doesn't understand you the way I do.
It's an abusive relationship.
It's abusive. That's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. In the worst, cruelest way.
Yes, yes, and I get that. Even if it's a I don't know, a bad boyfriend to a friend or something, and we know as friends he's not good for you, and we're seeing him, we know.
Yeah.
It happens when they're in person, and so the same. It's an abusive relationship online.
Yeah, and it's so hard to convince the target that they've made the wrong decision. In the first place, I know how to manage my life. I didn't do anything wrong. I know how to pick somebody who's right for me, and you've never been on my side.
Yeah.
So that's the dialogue that happens. Or, you just don't know him well. No, if you don't know him the way that I do, he hasn't asked me for money. Yeah. He's never asked. In fact, he's given me money, and that's another tactic too, is that sometimes the scammers will send small amounts again to establish trust. Here, I'll lend you $10. I'll lend you $50. By the way, can you lend me 50,000? Right now,
Goodness,
because I lent you 5
Right.
just yesterday, so
Right.
at least you can just lend me 50,000.
So I think as family, as friends and family, for our loved ones, remain close to them, remain vigilant for them, as you would with anybody that you think, hey, they're not making good, wise decisions right now. Just remain vigilant for them.
And be a resource. Like,
Yeah.
If you have any questions, if you want to run something by me, I am here.
Right.
I will be here, and I'm not judging. I only want what's best for you.
Yeah.
You kind of have to do that and hope that at some point the skepticism will kick in so that person will come back. But I'm telling you, with family and friends, even though they see what's happening, that is so difficult, and there's not a real surefire way to break that bond. And really the target or the victim kind of has to break it themselves. They have to start asking wait a minute, this doesn't quite feel right. And they, or somehow, he asked me for money, but he was really mean that day. Well, or she was really mean that day. Why did she do that? And then maybe they'll run it by a trusted family member or friend.
Yeah. That's how we just remain open
Yep.
to them. You've come across so many victims, so many people. Is there a story that maybe you can share with us, and where hopefully maybe it might have are there any happy endings to this? I guess when you catch them on time, maybe, but
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're happy, and there are people who avert being scammed. But I guess I will emphasize what you've always said is that it can happen to anyone. It does not. I'm an attorney. I work in this field. I write in this field. I worry that it could happen to me. I totally worry about that. And there have been times when I just happen to be distracted or distressed or whatever, and I pick up the phone because I'm expecting another phone call, and it's a scammer. And I'm like, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Or I even clicked on a text from like my bank because, there were people waiting for me, standing behind me in line, and I was in a hurry, and I wasn't thinking. It was after that I was thinking. One, let me tell you a story about one person that I came across. This was last year. AARP Maryland does a campaign called Protect Week. We do this every year, and we do it in partnership with about 20 other state and federal organizations. And we shine a spotlight on elder financial abuse. One of the things that we do is we try to bring stories of victims during a press conference or during like presentations that we do. We try to bring those stories to light. And we, AARP Maryland, came across one gentleman who actually testified in favor of a bill. There was a cryptocurrency regulation bill that passed in the Maryland General Assembly last year. He testified in favor of it, and our communications director reached out to him, only to find that he had been victimized by a scam. This man is a practicing attorney. And he was victimized by a jury scam.
Oh.
Now, you would think, you're a practicing attorney, how the heck could you get pulled up by that? Well, he was in distress. He was distracted. He had, at the time that this scam came through, there was a friend of his who was in like physical, like health, like serious health distress. He's trying to help that friend. And the notice that he missed jury duty comes through, and he thinks, well, yeah, I guess that could have happened because I've been so busy trying to help my friend. I could have missed a jury duty notice or some notice that I needed to appear in court. And as a practicing attorney, when the court says you need to appear, you better be there. Yeah. I could have missed that. So he engaged, and the criminal said, well, you can make this go away. You just need to pay this fine. She's like, okay, because I'm worried about my friend. I'm upset about, I kind of need to make this go away right now. Yeah. And so he did. He engaged to do that, got the money, went to an ATM that also functioned as a crypto ATM. And went through the transaction, and after that, he realized, I think this was not good. I think my money was just stolen, like several $1,000s was just stolen. But he was able actually to sue the company that owned that ATM to get some of his money back. Oh. Because the ATM, there's some ATMs that not only have cash but also all kinds of cryptocurrency. It's very confusing. There were no warnings. There were no guardrails, stopgaps, and he sued them. Now with our cryptocurrency regulation, and there aren't that many states in the country that have it, but Maryland's one of them. When that's fully implemented, there will be guardrails. There will be a paper trail. There will be warnings that that you're engaging in. You could be engaging in a scam or being targeted by a scam because you're sending money. Yes. There was one. I heard this story when from AARP, from the national office. They were testifying on Capitol Hill, and there was a woman older woman who came into like a convenience store. I can't remember the convenience store, but she went to the convenience store, and she was just filing like cash bill after bill after bill after bill, and the two people who were the cashiers were so concerned about her because she was so tired and so distressed. They got her a chair so she could be more comfortable while she was feeding the money to the crypto ATM. Yeah.
Wow. And and they got her a chair.
They got her a chair.
And she kept
going.
Gentlemen. Yes,
and
exactly.
She kept it going.
that we have to look out for people. We have to look out for each other. That's another thing that I stress. Number one, it can happen to anybody, but also we have to look out for each other. I don't know how comfortable people can be like, hey, why are you putting all that money in the ATM? But to see someone doing that, it really it's a red flag for me. I would be like, are you okay?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think the tone is everything.
Absolutely.
In last year's Protect We campaign, we had another person who told her story, and she had been targeted, and she had been told to cash out money to close out her account, and to cash out money and to give it to the crook. The crook was on the phone with her, giving her these specific instructions, and she went to the bank. She'd gone to a couple of banks, but the last bank that she went to, the bank manager kind of pulled her aside and just in a really gentle, concerned voice, just said, are you okay? What's going on? I mean, are you sure that there isn't something going on? And then she started crying, and then she told her story.
Yes.
And then they were able to stop that last part of the scam because a person approached the target with kindness and genuine concern.
Right.
And that could be enough to break the stranglehold.
Absolutely. And I agree with that so wholeheartedly because, yes, we have so many of these scams that end up being just financially disastrous for people.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's that one person that, and the more we get the message out to people, like this is happening, this is real, let's look out for one another. I think the more that we have a chance to help somebody before, maybe not 100%, hey, happy ending, but get them to tell their story.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they tell their story, they're helping someone else too.
Yes.
We have to be open, and we have to be, because that's what scammers count on. They count on shame and silence.
Yes. Yes. That's
no.
like currency to them.
Yes, absolutely. And so, no, that shame, that silence has to be broken. Because again, it's an abusive relationship.
It's an abusive relationship. I tell people, tell everybody.
Yes.
Just like, hallelujah, I'm a scam.
Exactly. Yes. I came out and it happened to me because it can happen to anybody.
I'm so proud to be able to help you because hallelujah, I'm a scam.
Right.
That's
so,
right.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to, and we have to get out the word more effectively that when somebody tells you it's a secret, that's the problem.
Exactly.
It should not. And in any abusive relationship, emotional relationship, even with the sexual abuse, what's the first thing that person says? This is just between you and me. This is special just between you and me. Don't tell anyone. Mm-hmm. And so the criminal in stealing this money says, you're helping us build a case. Because we've heard that one before.
Yes.
You're helping us build a case. If you tell anybody, even your spouse, that will compromise our case and we won't be able to get the criminal. So just transfer all of your funds to keep them safe from your bank account into our special locker. And we will hold it safe for you until the criminal, this actually happened to a resident of Montgomery County. We will keep your money safe in our special locker until the case is completed, and then we will give you your money back. None of that happened.
Yeah.
None of that happened. Her funds were stolen.
Yes.
And while we're on the subject, here's another pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
That may be a little strong, but anyway, I am really trying to get away from, and I'm encouraging reporters, anybody in the public space to refrain from saying that so-and-so lost their money in a scam. They didn't lose their money. They know where their money's supposed to be.
Yes.
It's supposed to be in the bank.
Yes.
It's supposed to be in the investment account. It's supposed to be in the 529, account or whatever. It was stolen. That's why it's not there.
Right.
No, I wasn't just confused and just, I think I put my money in the trash can. No, that's not what happened. someone attacked me.
Yes.
It was an attack. And the attack resulted in my money being stolen.
That's right.
That's what's going on.
That's right. And we have the right to protect our hearts and our finances. We should feel safe with whoever we are dealing with, speaking to. We should feel safe and secure. Our families, our loved ones should be. We should be open to knowing who we're talking to, who we're dealing with. Just to be in a position where you're okay and you're not being attacked, because that is an attack. That is an attack. And it might be very slow, it might be very gentle at first, but then
And then the hammer comes down.
that's right. That's right.
And you're distressed, you're panicked, you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so you will do anything to make the situation go away. Does that involve rescuing your loved one? Because they've been arrested or they're in an accident or something like that. That's happened in my family, where someone, where it was really my mom was told that her grandson had been arrested, and this was before we have as much awareness about these scams as we do today. But she went into superhero mode, as grandparents often do.
Sure.
I don't remember having that kind of relationship. I don't remember my grandparents spoiling me like that. But these days, grandparents do everything for their They had that special relationship with the grandchildren, and my mom did with her grandchildren. And she leapt into superhero mode, starts sending money. And the only reason that it stopped was because my brother and my nephew, her grandson, happened to stop by the house. And my mother looked at them like, well, I just saved your life. Why aren't you more grateful? And my nephew's like, what are you talking about? And then when they discuss, it's like, oh my God. What happened was that the money was stolen because I was fine. I was where I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
She never discussed this. I mean, my brother knew because my brother was there, but she didn't tell her daughter, the lawyer, about this because of the shame involved. And I never would have judged her. I would have judged the criminals, because to me, that's the issue. It's not her.
And
of
that's
course
what we
she
have
wants
to
to rescue
remember.
her grandson. That's human.
Yes. And that's what we have to remember when we're victimized. At the end of the day, our loved ones love us, and they're just happy that we're safe. We want happiness and health for them and safety. And so the shame does have to we have to set that apart.
Shame is a waste of time.
It really is.
It really is, because we need to understand what's really going on here. And what's really going on is that criminals are stealing. And just like you wouldn't feel ashamed if you walked outside and somebody tried to mug you, you wouldn't come back and say, oh my God, I can't believe I brought this on myself. I was walking along and this person came up to me and I handed over the money because I thought they had a gun, but I'm so ashamed. You don't waste time with that. You're like, somebody attacked me. This is horrible. Where are the police?
That's right.
They need to be in jail.
Exactly.
That's the same outrage that we need to have for these criminals. They don't use guns. They weaponize our emotions and they mold them into the shape of a gun. That's what they do. And it can be more powerful than an actual physical weapon.
Yeah.
Because we all have emotions.
That's right.
We're all vulnerable.
Yeah.
We all feel misunderstood. Who around here doesn't feel misunderstood?
Right.
I know I do.
Yes.
You know?
That's right. No.
I bet you do too, Michelle.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to say hallelujah, amen. That's right. Karen, we could go on and on about this subject. I mean, it really is it's immense. And it's evolved from these maybe these strange little emails that we used to receive to just this these social platforms, everyone, our information is out there.
Oh, yes.
But we're looking out for each other. And I think I want to ask you, number one, is there a piece of advice that you just last Last words for us.
Last words. There are three.
Okay.
Pause, reflect, protect. That's our mantra at AARP.
That's right.
When that contact comes from out of the blue, pause, reflect, go review it. Even if your grandson ran over 50 pregnant women and when your grandson was only 3, 5 minutes is going to change that situation. So take 5 minutes to think about what's really going on here. Run it by somebody. We often talk about getting a fraud buddy.
Yeah.
I'm a fraud buddy, and I have a fraud buddy. I have a cousin who's my fraud buddy. She just has great, razor sharp sense.
Yeah.
I trust her judgment, and I'm willing to do that for people in my family, and I'm willing to do it for my friends. So we can all be fraud buddies to people, and they can be fraud buddies to us, and that way we can help each other.
Yes.
And that's how we can protect ourselves, and we can also just secure our finances, make sure we know what's really going on with our finances in real time, or looking at checking our accounts. You have to be proactive these days about checking your financial accounts to make sure that from a trusted source, from a trusted platform. So we have to pause because things are happening lightning fast. Don't get caught up in the speed. Slow it down, because scammers don't have a good weapon against that.
Yes.
Reflect, because your emotions ramp down and your logic comes to the fore, and then you can analyze what's really going on and then protect by running it by somebody or by looking at your finances and making sure that things are where they're supposed to be.
I love that. Pause, reflect, and protect. That's exactly, and that's for contracts. That's a perfect one even for the contracts. When you went into me as a home improvement person,
Yes.
pause. Don't sign a contract so quickly. Think about it.
You might want to read that contract first.
Exactly. Right. That's awesome. How do you celebrate love and connection with family, friends, anyone special? What's that look like for you?
Okay, this is when they haven't gotten on my last nerve. Oh, okay. Let me see. How do
I can relate to that one too.
I do. My family's far away, like the way your family's far away. My family's scattered all over the place. So I'm on the phone a lot with them, or Zoom calls or whatever. Or like I will travel. I have a nephew who's an assistant basketball coach for a Big 12 school.
Oh, nice.
So I've gone to his games and met up with my brother and my sister-in-law and my niece and nephew. And that's a great way, and it doesn't have to be a special occasion.
That's right.
It's just a lot of fun, and I'm hoping to be able to do that this year.
Oh, me too. I have a cousin who it doesn't have to be a special occasion, but he's in El Paso and with his family, and he's like a brother to me, and I can't wait to go see him. I want to go see him this year too, and that's a perfect way to connect with people.
That's a perfect way to see and to see them in person.
That's right.
I'm a people person. I love being able to talk to people in person, which is why this has been so great, because it's like we could have done this through Zoom, but this is so much cooler.
Absolutely. You can feel the energy. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. We really appreciate being here too.
All right, thanks. To everyone listening, here's what I want you to remember. You deserve real connection, and you have the right to protect your heart and your finances. If something feels rushed or too good to be true, pause. Ask yourself questions. Does this make sense? Why the urgency? Would I do this for someone I've never met in person? Scammers count on silence and shame. Don't give them that power. Share what you've learned today with friends and family, and keep the conversation going. Thank you for joining us on Consumer Connection. Until next time. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and keep an eye out for upcoming episodes where we'll continue to bring you important updates and insights on consumer protection. Have a topic in mind for a future episode or a question for our team? Drop us an email at consumerconnection@montgomerycountymd.gov. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and family, and stay in the loop with OCP by searching the hashtag MCGOCP on social media. Remember, knowledge is key for safeguarding your consumer rights. Stay informed, stay protected, and stay connected. Until next time.
This podcast is brought to you by County Cable Montgomery, your source for news and information from the Montgomery County government. Connect with us via cable, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube by searching for County Cable MoCo.